bold growth. But before we dive into the unique natures of your business, tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, and why you do it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm Rerucha. I'm owner and craftsman of Oxbows Furniture. I'm a graduate of the University of Nebraska. I got a degree in landscape design, actually, and then I minored in entrepreneurship. Um, I am married. We are going to be celebrating our 13th wedding anniversary, I believe, in July this year. I have three kids, Georgia, Oliver, Liam, and then we are expecting our fourth, May 12th. So very busy, and we've been in business now for about 10 years.
Hi everyone, my name is Vedral. I'm the baker, owner, and founder of Kookaburra Cookies. What makes my cookies unique is that all of my cookies are what I call strumble cookies. Strumble is trademarked to my business. It is my riff on the streusely crumbly muffin topping. So I like to say I took the best part of the muffin and very selfishly put it on my favorite dessert to create strumble cookies. I started Kookaburra back during my freshman year of college, graduated in 2023, and now I'm doing it full time.
Very cool. Well, we're going to talk about the mindsets and the skills that you've learned through entrepreneurship, but another high-level question here, just give us a glimpse into your day-to-day or week-to-week operations of your business.
Yeah, so day to day, I think in business, it's very important to keep your priorities in order. And one of those for me is definitely my family. So, being a business owner, you do have special freedoms at times. And so, I actually take my kids to school every morning, drop them off, and then I start my work days right on at 8 o'clock. And then we go throughout the workday, and we typically end around 4:30, 5 o'clock, or whenever the project that needs to get done next is getting near done, and then come in and see the family. So that's about how our typical day goes.
So my current day-to-day is never the same. I'm in the process of looking for my first brick-and-mortar storefront. So at the moment, I'm operating as an online bakery, so you can order online, pick up, delivery, nationwide shipping. So it kind of just depends on the volume of orders, and that kind of determines my day. Usually, I'm baking morning into the afternoon and delivering early evenings.
Yeah. Well, Erin, you create high-quality heirloom furniture for families to love and enjoy, and you are crafting a very unique cookie dessert experience. At what point did both of you realize that your ideas were something that you could turn into a business and fully pursue?
That's a great question. I think for me, it was, I didn't realize that it was going to be a business necessarily in the beginning. It was a dream that it would turn into a business. But like I said, I got my degree in landscape design. So I started my first business as a landscape designer and would install landscapes. And I quickly realized that in the wintertime, I certainly didn't want to go smooth snow. And so I was like, well, we got a young family, and we definitely have a living. So I actually went and just picked up some working stuff in my grandpa's shop, hit it together with some nails, hammer. It was pretty rough. Brought up my wife, and it was pretty ugly, honestly. And I said, hey, I think I want to make custom furniture. And she was, very gracious. She said, maybe we should think about reevaluating. To be honest, it was from that point on, I loved it, even though it was very rough. And I had a passion for it. And so I just decided I was going to work hard. I was going to meet famous woodworkers. I was going to travel to the Midwest and learn the craftsmanship from guys that have been doing it for 45 years. And about a year or two in, I realized, okay, this is the real deal. This is what I want to do. It's been a step ladder approach year in, year out. You evaluate goals and keep going.
Yeah, similar vein. I also did not start my business kind of with the goal to make this my career. I was the middle of 2020, which if you all know what was going on at that time. I was looking for work and couldn't find anything, and I was studying graphic design, and so I needed a way to build a portfolio. And I was talking to my aunt, who's an entrepreneur, and she told me, she's like, start your own business. You're not gonna find, it's gonna be tough to find a job right now. Do something that you like really well. And I kind of thought about all the different things I could do, and I've always loved to make. And so I was like, you know what? I will just sign up for the local farmers market, the Haymarket Farmers Market, start baking cookies, work on my food photography skills, build a logo, build a website, social media, all that stuff. Just start selling cookies and do it for a year and then drop it once I felt like my portfolio was liked it, and people liked the cookies, so here I am.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like the both of you kind of got your start in your businesses in sort of an act of blind faith. You just decided that you were going to do it and decided to pursue it because it's something that you enjoyed. What is a decision that you made early on in both of your businesses that you're proud of?
For me, it was I was never going to sacrifice the quality of our craftsmanship for anything, really. And whether that was budget, whether that, it didn't matter, I wasn't going to sacrifice our craftsmanship. I knew the level that I wanted to be at, and the only way to, for us, the only way to get there was just the grind, really. And so that was, and now 10 years in, it's pretty much in our area known that, hey, if you want great quality craftsman furniture, you go to Oxbows Furniture. And so it took a long time to build that brand, but looking back now, I'd never go back.
One, I guess, decision I'm proud of is that I still to this day only offer one product. When I started out as a baker, especially a young baker, I would have so many requests to do cakes or cupcakes or something on top of the cookies. And I won't lie, I was tempted at times, but I really believe in do one thing and do it really well, and that's the key to kind of getting your business off the ground. And so, yeah, just ride or die with cookies, I guess.
Well, I'm excited to taste them later. They look wonderful. So when it came to establishing your customer base and getting customers that come back to you time and time again, how did you market yourself, and what did you lean into that made you stand out from your competition?
Yeah, for us it was, I'll be honest, and I hate doing social media stuff. I'm terrible at it. I'm the guy that's in the shop. I'm not the guy that's doing the stuff online. So for us, because of that, I think we might have suffered in the beginning because we didn't have that social media presence that we do now, where I can hire that out and it's professionally done, and the gal we have do that does a fantastic job. But to gain our customer base in the beginning was just get as much furniture out as we could that was quality. And we weren't necessarily, this is going to sound maybe obtuse to a lot of people, but we weren't necessarily worried about the bottom line. We were making money, but it wasn't, we needed to reach people, and we needed to be able to build it well so they'd come back. And in time, they just keep coming back and back more and more, and it has grown that way. And then we have the social media presence on top of that now. So that's kind of how we did it in the very beginning. Trade shows, I'll wrap it up with trade shows. I think we did 8 to 10 trade shows a year, whether it's Lincoln home shows, Omaha home shows, we'd go to Wyoming, South Dakota, Riverboat Days, doing arts and crafts shows. And that was another, we'd hand out 500 to 1,000 business cards in a weekend, and that was another way we did it too.
Yeah, so as I said, I started my business at the farmer's market, which I wish I could say I thought this through, but I didn't. But one of the kind of unexpected perks of it is that I was face to face with my customers every single week, and they would come back and give me feedback on the product, and that was super useful. On top of that, I just tried to create a extremely unique product and then package it to make the experience, make the cookies feel like more than just a cookie. And so I wish I could pull, you can kind of see it on the picture up there, but so all of my cookies look really unique in that they have the strumble on top, which adds some height and texture to the cookie. And then also, being in the middle of the pandemic, all of my customers wanted individual packaging. And so even to this day, my cookies are still individually packaged. And that originated from the need for individual packaging during the pandemic. So yeah, it was kind of a blessing and a curse to have started my business then. At the farmer's market, which is a great way to connect to customers, but also to get feedback week in and week out.
Yeah. Well, both of you are providing an experience, albeit a very different experience with what you sell and what you produce. But what kind of values, systems do you hold that you see come to fruition through your products?
You want to go first on that? I've been down first.
I mean, like I said, the number one thing with my cookies, my number one value, and this might be cliche, but is a joyful experience. And then right after that is a high quality experience. And so my cookies contain no preservatives at all. Everything you can pronounce, nothing you would understand. And so with that becomes a lot of challenges because I don't bake my cookies 5 days in advance and let them sit on the shelf. Everything is, there are hours, literal hours between when I bake the cookies and when you're eating it, hopefully. And that's one of the things that I will not compromise on. So yeah, I would say the quality, and then just always, I say my job's really lucky because when people come to get a cookie, they're either already in a very good mood, looking to treat themselves, or they're in a bad mood, hoping the cookie is going to put them in a better mood. So it makes my job really enjoyable. So it's, yeah, keeping joy at kind of the forefront of the experience, and then also making sure the cookie is as high quality as possible.
Yeah, I think for us, the uniqueness of our product, I love to get to know my customers on a personal level. So from the very beginning, we take when we make a piece of furniture, we typically go from log all the way through the finished product to delivery and install at the client's home. So that's a longer process, and so getting to know that person and what they want, and they're alongside us in that journey the whole time. It's not like I necessarily design it myself. We're emailing, we're texting, we're calling each other, and we're saying, hey, what do you want? How can I make your dream come true with your piece of furniture? And then the other thing that I think is the most uniqueness aspect of our furniture is that I'm a very faith-based orientated guy. And so on almost every piece of furniture we have what's called our signature, and it's Oxbows furniture, the date of completion, and then it says Jeremiah 29:11 on it. And so I think that's important to us because the amount of calls that I get from clients that are like, hey, I didn't understand why you did that in the beginning, but I've really been struggling, and I just had this yearning to look up what that is and what it says, and man, it made my day. And so I think that's what makes one of the things that's most important to me, but our furniture very unique as well.
Yeah, definitely messages of joy and inspiration from there. But everyone in this room has an idea or is aspiring towards an entrepreneurial idea. Who knows? There's millions of dollars of business ideas in this one room. But if you had to give a piece of advice or reflect on a tough moment in your business, what got you through that and helped you keep building and moving forward?
I think for me it was a couple things. Number one, like I said, my faith. There's going to be days you want to quit. There's going to be days that you're like, I honestly hate what I'm doing. This client's really difficult or whatever the case may be. But you keep going. It's kind of the grind that you have to go through sometimes. Second of all, you got to have, or I have found that having your family there with you, whether that's your spouse or your kids or your parents or your grandma, whoever that might be that can help you through those hard times, that's vital. And then the third thing that I always find that gets me through those things is that my identity is not found in my job. It's not found in my occupation. My identity is found in Christ for me. And so knowing that when I make mistakes, when I do fail, I can move on, and I learn from that mistake. Failure is a very real thing, but it's what you learn from your failures that make a person either succeed or fail.
So to answer your first part of your question, I would go back to what I said earlier, in that I would start small, like start with an item or two, or a product or two, or a service, whatever you're working on. Just because it's easier to grow after you've perfected one item than it is to start with 20 and then offer those to everyone. And what was the second part of the question?
Just what you've learned from overcoming failure in your business.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a hamster wheel in that you're never done dealing with failure. But just kind of embracing that as part of the journey. And all you can do is at the end of the day, ask yourself, am I a better business owner than I was yesterday? And usually, even if you failed that day, the answer will be yes, and that's at least a little consolation for me.
Yeah. Well, I guess you both have an online presence, but I guess I would direct this question at Eli specifically. As someone who really dove into your online brand and crafting that brand experience, what are some things you learned from that could be helpful for someone trying to springboard online?
Yeah, I think it's, in the day and age we're in, it's easy to always to kind of disregard the social media and the e-commerce side of things, but at the end of the day, what draws people in, especially in the dessert industry, is that how you can market the product. And so that's where I pay a lot of attention to the packaging and when you order online, you see what you're giving or what you're receiving. And I think that's a really big part of it, is helping customers see what you can do for them, because if you leave it up to them to imagine it, it's a lot tougher for them to pull the trigger.
Yeah. Aaron, do you have any takeaways now that you have honed in on that experience?
No, not necessarily. I mean, the only thing I would add to that is social media in today's day and age is vital. I mean, I wish I would have done that in the beginning. I just, honestly, I didn't have the patience and the means at the time to do it. But it's changed totally the way we do things now, yeah.
Yeah. Well, looking ahead to growing your businesses, what is a step of bold growth that you hope to take either in the immediate future or a long-term goal that you have your eye on?
Go for it, buddy.
Yeah. So as I said, I'm operating as an online bakery right now out of a commercial production kitchen that is not a storefront, so customers can't walk in and buy a warm cookie fresh out of the oven, which is my dream. So right now I'm working on trying to find my own brick and mortar storefront where then people can come in and buy a cookie, whether it's over the lunch hour, in the evenings, on a date night, with a group of friends. Like, that's kind of the goal right now. And then once I have that first location, look to expand from there.
So, can you repeat that one more time?
Yeah. What is a step of growth that you'd like to take in the near future or maybe a more long-term step?
My near future goal would be, I always want to be doing furniture, but I'm also looking to get involved in some real estate, flipping homes, making apartment complexes, higher end, things like that. That would be kind of where I'm going and gearing towards now. My long-term goal, I would love it if I could make a high-end desk for a president of the United States or a senator or somebody like that. I just think that would be really cool.
Yeah. Well, something that I think is repeated in many entrepreneurial circles, but especially here in the Engler program, is just start. And sometimes I think that feels like a bit of an oversimplification. Like, what do you mean, just start? But what does that mean to the both of you?
Yeah, to start, for me, honestly, it just meant, like I said, go grab some scrap wood and start hammering it together and see what happens. So that you just got to take the leap of faith and do it. If you never try, you'll never. That's the first step. You got to try. Learn from your mistakes. When I first started, I used to have a back door to our shop that literally swung open 20 times a day because it was a messed up piece. All of a sudden, it just got chucked out. So that's just part of the process. You got to start.
I think one of the most helpful, some of the best advice I got on the just starting kind of idea was to break your growth, your desired growth into chunks. Like, think 5 years from now, where do you want to be? 10 years from now, where do you want to be? And then zoom all the way into, like, okay, next month, where do I need to be on track for that 5-year point? And I think that helps kind of calm me down at least, in knowing what is the priority and make the just starting a little bit more bearable. Is think about, what do I need to do today and tomorrow, and then what I need to do next year and 5 years and so on. So
Yeah. Well, obviously, we're here at the Fireside event, which is an opportunity for students to connect with mentors and the like. Who are some mentors in your life, or what is the role of mentors in your life or in your business?
I can go first. So I should definitely give my aunt a shout out. So Stephanie and Paul Jarrett, they're both UNL grads. They are the co-founders of Bulu here in Lincoln. So they're doing fulfillment subscription for huge brands. She was the one I talked to before starting at the Farmers Markets, who gave me the advice of start something for yourself. So she would be the first one, and then the second one is going to be my mom, because she's kind of like my therapist at this point. But yeah, she's always been the one that's kind of like, you should go for it. You shouldn't settle for what you know you can do. You should go for what you hope you can do. And I just think that's awesome advice. So.
Yeah, mentors, that's super important, by the way. You guys got to get yourself plugged into some great mentors that you can trust, that will give you good advice, good counsel. But for me, several people, and I won't get exhaustive or anything, but number one, the Engler program for sure. There's been so many people come through here, but the people that I think of right off the top of my head would be Tom Field, Dave Lynn, Michelle Bassford. Those were the three when I was in the program that I worked with all the time, and so they always have been mentors to me, and they always will be. My parents as well. There's been times that I've had to be bailed out, whether that was financially sometimes or even getting some of my first bigger equipment purchases. My mom and dad helped me with that. And my wife, yeah, so.
Yeah. Well, this has been such a fun conversation, and there's so much wisdom to be shared, but I think we'd be remiss to not allow the students to ask some questions. If you have any burning questions from a student lens, we'd love to take them.
What advice do you have for us here being college students? What are the most important things that we need to take away from our very short 4 years that we spend in this program?
So for those joining on the live stream, the question is, what is some advice for college students that they can take beyond the college experience into entrepreneurship?
Yeah, I think one of the most important things you can do is network. Meet as many people as you can. Meet with your colleagues. Talk about ideas, and find those mentors now. I think because the longer that relationship goes, the better it'll be.
Yeah, so starting a business in college is right in my wheelhouse because I started mine my freshman year. The advice I would give is use your youth to your advantage. One thing I've learned is that as a college student especially, I could ask anyone a question and kind of pose it as, I'm young, I don't know what I'm doing, can you help me? And they always will. So I think use your youth as a superpower and don't view it as a barrier to asking for help. Use it as an incentive to ask for help.
Good stuff. Anybody else? Yeah.
So how do you guys like continue to learn past college and like educational opportunities, like whether that's books or podcasts or anything like that?
Okay, so the question is, how do you continue learning past college through books, podcasts, etc.? What does that look like for you?
Yeah, I do believe that in life we should be continual learners. You should be learning something every day, and for me that comes through many sources. It is podcasts, it is reading articles from other woodworkers. It's going to art shows that you have to be juried into and selected as a juried artist to go. You got to pay the money to go there. You got to be juried in. And then I remember I think I've been there 6 or 7 times in Jackson, Wyoming. And like I said, those woodworkers they're the guys that have been doing it for 45 years. And my first 2 or 3 years, I brought somebody along so they could sit in my booth and sell the furniture while I just talked to those guys. I honestly wasn't even in my booth. I just went and talked to all those guys that did woodworking throughout the whole nation. So that's, one last thing I want to wrap up with, and I don't know if it necessarily is going to answer your question as far as learning, but I think the human mind and the human brain, we access so little of its potential. I think we need to really focus on our imagination, on being as creative as possible. And if you can think it in here, especially with today's technology that we have, there's really no reason that it probably shouldn't be able to be fulfilled in real life. And I think that's what keeps me going on a day-to-day. If I can dream it here, and I've dreamed some crazy things that I want to do, there's no reason that it shouldn't be able to take place in the natural as well.
Yeah, my answer will be much shorter than that. But,
Sorry.
No, just talk to people. If talking to people who are smarter than me, who are more creative than me, who have more experience than I do, that's how I would say I learn most now, post-college.
Yeah, very cool. Well, how about we give our panelists a round of applause? Well, once again, we are joined by Rerucha of Oxbows Furniture and Eli Vedral with Kookaburra Cookies. I know I'm looking forward to cracking into the box of cookies that Eli graciously brought with him this evening, but thank you so much for tuning in to this live podcast recording if you are joining us on Facebook. And of course, thank you so much to the Engler program for their support of this podcast. I know we're excited to continue learning from entrepreneurs across the state and really appreciate your support. So check out the podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever platform is your favorite, and we'll catch you next time.